By the 8th century, the center of Jewish legal authority had stabilized in the Babylonian academies of Sura and Pumbedita. This wasn't a system of arbitrary decrees. The methodology relied on the Talmud, a massive, multi-generational record of objective debate designed to preserve a single constitutional truth. But that methodology was under attack. New heretical sects were actively working to detach the community from these interpretive rules. These groups argued that the oral tradition was a later invention. They urged followers to abandon the Sanhedrin's framework in favor of subjective, individual readings of the scripture. This challenge went beyond theology. It was an attempt to dismantle the objective structure that had kept the legal system predictable and unified for 3 millennia. The internal strain of these disputes, coupled with poor leadership, brought the Academy of Sura to the point of total institutional collapse. To save Sura, the Babylonian leadership took the unprecedented step of looking entirely outside their own social and political hierarchy. They found their champion in Egypt, a brilliant independent scholar named Rav Saadia Gaon. By selecting Saadia, the Academy signaled that institutional lineage was now secondary to intellectual survival. While Saadia fought the heretics from without, he soon faced an internal threat, the Resh Galuta, the supreme political head of Babylonian Jewry. The Resh Galuta, David ben Zakkai, attempted to use his political weight to force Saadia into signing off on an unjust legal ruling intended to enrich the state. Saadia refused. He maintained that the law was objective and could not be altered to suit the needs of the political class. The confrontation turned physical. The Resh Galuta sent his son to the academy to humiliate Saadia, ordering him to be beaten in front of his students. The response was immediate. The students of the yeshiva rose up and physically drove the Resh Galuta's son out of the building. This rupture meant that, moving forward, the political office could no longer take the academy's religious endorsement for granted. The political backlash forced Saadia into hiding. He spent the next 7 years in exile, stripped of his official office. From the shadows, Saadia watched as heretical manuscripts, like this one, began to proliferate. These texts targeted Jewish youth who had been left without a clear defense of the tradition. Saadia utilized his isolation not for retreat, but for a massive intellectual counteroffensive. He authored foundational works in Arabic, using this rationalist methodology to show that the Oral Torah was not just a tradition, but a logical necessity. He used science and logic to answer the heretics on their own terms, providing a rational basis for the ancient laws. This period of isolation allowed Saadia to build a defense that outlived the immediate political struggle, creating a template for how the law could survive even when its institutions were in crisis. Over the following century, the political office of the Resh Galuta continued its moral decline. The position was eventually reduced to a corrupt syndicate. Candidates would bribe rulers to grant them the right to collect taxes from their own people. The political establishment had entirely cannibalized itself, illustrating the inevitable decay of a power structure built on bribes and tax collection rather than the law. Even as the Babylonian academies faced their final sunset, the work of the Geonim was complete. As the schools in Babylon faded, this map shows how the law was successfully transmitted to new centers in North Africa and Spain. The systematic philosophical defense written during Saadia's exile made the Torah portable, preparing it for the transition into the medieval Western world. The law survived because it remained an objective system that answered to logic and precedent, even as the kings and states that once housed it fell away. The 3,000-year chain of law reached Europe not because of political protection, but because the Geonim built it to survive the death of the state.